Friends, good evening. My name is Alina Shaltsova. I'm a New York immigration lawyer, and tonight we will be discussing the most recent immigration news. I'm going to talk about complete immigration ban for nationals of 19 countries. New law proposal, not the law yet, about dual citizenship, enforcement in New Orleans and Minnesota, and President Trump's statement that he would, if he could, take citizenship away from naturalized citizens after they commit crimes in the United States. So welcome. If this is your first time here, please join me. Let me know where you're watching from. I am going to be discussing this important immigration news. I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on what I think is going to happen. And of course, please, you guys join and ask your questions. I know that the news about the fact that 19 nationals of 19 countries are going to be banned from any immigration benefits probably was shocking last night. It came, and we absolutely should discuss that. So let's start, right? First thing, the most important thing is about that immigration ban. It's no longer travel ban. It's a complete immigration ban. It covers nationals. It goes by your nationality, and it covers nationals of 19 countries. And what it does, it basically stops adjudication, this announcement, stops adjudication of any and all immigration benefits for people who are nationals of those countries. Immigrant visas, non-immigrant visas. In the United States, change of status applications. This is when you would like, for example, to get a student status if you entered in B1, B2 visitor status. Adjustment of status. This is when you would like to get a green card in the United States. Maybe you're married to a US citizen or you won DV lottery. Well, that is not relevant today, but maybe you had asylum and you filed for adjustment of status or green card and you come from one of those countries, right? Or you filed for citizenship. After yesterday, you need to know that your immigration applications are not going to be decided. For how long? We do not know. We have no idea how long this pause is going to last. We do not know what's going to come after this pause. But I can tell you what I think legally may come after this pause. Only one thing. It is different vetting procedures that the government is going to implement. Otherwise, there is no sense in this announcement whatsoever. We're talking about nationals that come from the following countries: Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. There is one Russian-speaking country on the list, Turkmenistan and Venezuela. It means if you guys file for TPS extension, for example, you hoped for something related to TPS or some other humanitarian status, VAWA petition, again, adjustment of status, removal of conditions. The government stated that this ban on adjudication of immigration petitions stretches to all possible immigration petitions. So that's what's going on. All right. So if you're a national or sponsoring a national from one of those countries, let's say it's your spouse that you filed for or your parent, you know that it's going nowhere right now. In addition, of course, this is in addition to the fact that the government, the Trump administration, immediately stated after the attack last Wednesday that people from Afghanistan no longer going to receive any benefits, at least for a while, right? And those of you who are waiting for their asylum cases to be decided are also going to be out of luck for a while. Immigration asylum interviews are going forward. Interviews were not cancelled, but the decisions on asylum cases are not going to be made. That's what happened, okay? So don't think that you should not be appearing for your asylum interview. You absolutely must, unless you reschedule it. If you don't appear for your asylum interview in certain situations, you will not be able to get work permit afterwards. So make sure that you do show up. It's very important. But the decisions on asylum cases are not going to be made. So that's one news. Not the good news, of course. I'm sorry I had to share it with you. We have more, however, also negative. Senator Bernie Moreno, who was born not in the United States, by the way, is naturalized US citizen, introduced a bill to eliminate dual citizenship. In other words, according to this bill, if it passes and becomes the law, you would have 1 year to either renounce US citizenship or renounce the citizenship of that other country. If you don't renounce the citizenship of that other country, the government is going to take away your US citizenship. Right now, this bill, I don't see future for it. But as some experts say, it may be just the start of the discussion on the issue. It's true that there are countries in the world that require you to renounce all other citizenships before you become a national citizen of that country. Not the United States, however. If you were not born in the United States and you become a naturalized citizen, what happens is that during your oath ceremony, you swear that you're going to be loyal only to the United States. And you will relinquish your royalty titles if you have them. Some people still have royalty titles in some limited countries around the world. But they don't require you in the United States as of now to bring any proof that you no longer formally are a citizen of your home country where you were born, right? But it's not only the only way somebody who lives in the United States may have a dual citizenship. Sometimes a person who is born in the United States may acquire citizenship of another country. Very often it happens with people who have relatives, family members, or roots in the countries of the European Union. They apply for Irish passport, Italian passport, German passport sometimes, which Germany, by the way, until recently did not allow for dual citizenship. And now I believe they changed that because they saw that it was not a good move for them. So many US born citizens now are dual citizens. I don't think they would like this bill at all right? So it's not only if this passes is going to affect people who became naturalized citizens, it may also affect people who were born US citizens and later acquired citizenship of some other country. I personally believe this bill is not going anywhere. It's not going to become the law. But of course, it adds stress to already stressed out communities. All right. Also wanted to share with you this important statement by Trump, where he stated that he would revoke citizenship from some naturalized criminals if he has authority. So by the second term, Trump administration basically learned that not everything that they would like to do can be accomplished at once, immediately. You do have to have basis for it in the law and in the Constitution. Right now, President does not have authority to revoke a person's citizenship that they acquired through naturalization process because they committed a crime after they became a US citizen. However, it doesn't mean that you may not lose your acquired citizenship even now. You may, however, it's difficult to accomplish. Usually, a civil lawsuit has to be started against you or criminal proceedings. You can lose your acquired citizenship in criminal denaturalization process or civil. Typically, it happens when you acquired citizenship unlawfully, you committed fraud, maybe during the green card process. Or there is a very interesting ground as well. If within 5 years after you became a naturalized citizen, you joined some organization whose views and ideology is against the ideology of the United States. Why? It shows to the government of the United States that if so soon after you became a citizen, you joined those organizations, or one or two, whatever, it means that during the recent process of naturalization, you were not honest on your forms. You did not disclose your true views. So this is very important. There is some other ground is when you are convicted of you're convicted of contempt to testify before senators, Congress about your views within the 10 years after naturalization. Then you also may lose your citizenship. Otherwise, you would have to voluntarily relinquish it. So, what I think is starting here is this administration is building grounds to be more flexible as to when and how they will be taking citizenship away from naturalized citizens. Right now, they cannot do it, but in the future, they may. All right, if they change the laws and the United States Supreme Court backs them up. Very important situation, very important trend. And of course, you need to know, you're probably already aware of that ICE is in New Orleans in Minnesota. They are conducting their enforcement operations there right now. So the difference, I guess, between New Orleans and California is that the government of Louisiana, the governor of Louisiana, gave their permission for the ICE, for the federal authorities to come to New Orleans. So whatever lawsuit New Orleans may file will have to take this particular move into consideration. And now, if you guys have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. Thank you, by the way, for sharing and liking the stream. Thank you for joining. Thank you for participating. Let me know where you're watching from. Hi, vote. Happy holidays. Why it takes so long for DS-260 for devolutory winners in Africa to process while it takes only a couple of days for EU citizens? I truly do not know. Maybe there is some sort of discrimination going on. You know that if that visa is not issued by a certain deadline, then it's gone. So maybe it truly is happening that this way, some of you will be simply disqualified. You won't be able to use that devolutory win to actually enter the United States. Okay, maybe that's the reason. Thank you very much, Umar, for your nice words. Hi, Karim. They keep saying law will change, but a lot of people are being deported now. Of course, laws will change. If the laws would change, what's happening here is that in the United States, probably since early 20th century, there appeared some laws restricting entry to the United States of certain people. If you know a little bit of the history of Ellis Island and so on and so forth, first, the United States will accept pretty much everyone unless you had some disease. They would examine you on that island, and if they determine that you may spread the disease to other people, you would not be allowed to enter. They just want you to be healthy. Then they added to that ground that you're not going to be panhandling. You're not going to be asking for money. They always wanted people here who's going to work, all right? Work for themselves or for somebody else. Then there were some other restrictions. Then political restrictions were added on. So this process of restricting who would come to the newly built country was continuing and continuing. So by 1996, the most restrictive measures were passed, called IRA, that gave government quite broad grounds to deport somebody or remove somebody out of the United States. Most people who don't have status in the United States and don't have any application for status going on for them are deportable. That's why you see people being caught. They catch people and then deport them. Why? Because those people don't have status in the United States and they cannot file for any relief from deportation. Perhaps some of them already have deportation or removal orders against them. In addition to that, a very common reason for people being deported, sent back, would be criminal grounds. All right? So just the fact that you don't have status is already enough for the government to grab you and deport you. Criminal grounds. So that's why you see so many enforcement actions online. Lots of people here, unfortunately, do reside without status. Now, the second half of your statement talks about, they keep saying that the laws were changed. Right. So there are two things that are happening. There are promises of immigration reform to give those people without status opportunity to file for status, and that's what should happen in the United States after almost 3 decades or 4 decades without change in the law, right? And there is another trend now to change the laws to give government even more powers to deprive people of status, and those laws have been slowly changing. Like we had Lake and Raleigh Act that introduced mandatory detention for people charged with certain crimes related to theft. So we do have talks, we do have actions. Unfortunately, actions were mostly negative than positive, but at some point, if you believe in theory of probability, right, there will be some positive action as well. Positive action is when they will pass the immigration reform, allowing certain people to fix their status. It will happen. It cannot not happen. But I guess by then, they first going to deport everybody who was not lucky and got caught during the time they were waiting. All right? Some people are in process, correct. But what happened with this administration is that as soon as they took over, they started passing these BIA decisions stating that if you're just in process, it's not enough for you to be saved from deportation or removal. It's very important to understand that. Hi, Sardar. I applied for asylum in 2014. They took my interview in 2018, but didn't give me any result. Most likely you will be called for a second interview, or the government is going to present some charges against you, okay? So, yes, very often they will call you for a second interview. Do you pay for filing for adjustment of status under VAWA currently? You will pay a lawyer if you have one, but no, there is no government filing fee right now for Form I-45 if you file for VAWA, okay? Hi guys from TikTok. Let me see if you have other immigration questions. I'm sure you have a lot. Yes, it's been a rocky week, I'm going to tell you that. We've seen a lot happening, different announcements, talking about various restrictions. You know, can someone from 19 countries still apply for adjustment of status with EB2, or they cannot even apply? I think you can file your application, but nothing is going to happen to it. That's my understanding. There is a ban on decisions, okay? Thank you, Sadar, for your gift. There is a ban on decisions. We went for the interview based on marriage. There was no denial, but they said to wait. I-130 was approved. Yes, it happens. So they're checking your background. They're conducting background check. If you especially filed for asylum before your marriage-based case, then you can expect that it's going to take a little bit longer than usual, regularly, to receive a decision on your I-485, okay? Especially this administration, they stated that they will be reviewing your asylum case when you're filing based on marriage after you submitted for your asylum. Okay. Person was approved I-130, apply for I-45 while in the United States with ESTA. Yes, if I-130 was filed and you are qualified under it as an immediate relative, if you do not have an order of removal against you, you may file for adjustment of status even if you entered an ESTA or visa waiver. The law allows you to do that. Okay. Hi, Said. Hi, Eddie. Let me know, guys, if you have immigration question. Hi, Hapte. I had approved my asylum application in May of 2025. When do I need to apply for a green card? All right, so you can apply for the green card now, but it cannot be approved until 12 months of physical presence would be satisfied. So you got the approval in May, so about now you can file because it takes longer than 6 months usually to make a decision on that green card application. So you can pre-file, and while your application I-45 is in process, you reside in the United States without leaving the United States to satisfy that 12 months requirement of physical presence prior to your green card being approved. Even though now, guys, I swear, if you received asylum, they all actually stated that if you received asylum during the Biden administration, but you received it during the Trump administration, they are not going to, like, they didn't say they're going to not honor it, but they said they will be reviewing all asylum grants that happened during the Biden administration. Okay. Hi, Radfar. My asylum case has been pending for 9 years. I'm from one of the 19 countries. Had my interview in June and I'm still waiting. Do you recommend Mandamus action? No, don't. Please don't. I wouldn't be doing, if I were from one of those 19 countries right now and I would be seeking immigration benefits, I wouldn't be doing anything until we know what's going to happen with this ban. Okay? I think federal courts probably going to get involved soon, maybe by the end of this week, but I wouldn't be asking for any mandamus because I'm telling you what's going to happen. They will just deny your case. They'll find something to say you're disqualified. Person who approved them in 30 years, so I discussed that and asked, applied for T visa. Hi, Tinkerbell. Applied for T visa in July, but no biometrics appointment yet. Is it normal time frame? Usually biometrics come in about a month, maybe 60 days. But if you filed in July, that was the time when everything was very slow. So as long as you have a receipt that your T visa was actually taken, accepted, I wouldn't worry about it. Okay? I'm in removal, but my lawyer filed for dismiss the case, and the case was denied by the judge. All right, you're in removal proceedings, and your lawyer filed to dismiss the removal proceedings, and something was denied. Was the motion denied, or the entire case was denied? And now you have an order of deportation against your removal. I do not know. Whatever happened, you may be appealing. You should be able to appeal the decision. You have 30 days to file a notice to appeal. If petitioner is a green card holder, all right, so what's the question? What is the question? User, tell me. Do you necessarily need psychological evaluation and what evidence when filing for VAWA? There is no list of required evidence for VAWA. It does not exist. But you are expected to prove eligibility. You have to show that you suffered some harm, physical or emotional. If the harm was only emotional, psychological evaluation, credible psychological evaluation, helps you to prove that emotional harm. If you have strong evidence of physical harm, photos, medical records, police reports, then you can get away without pricey psychological evaluation because it's pricey. Okay. A friend of mine, young, final interview for asylum. The judge decided to take more time, sent result. It's very common that both immigration officer and a judge may state that they need time to make a decision on the case. That's nothing unusual. I'm in removal. Okay. Let's see. If someone from 19 countries is in the United States but H-1B is pending, is he considered out of status? I do not know if the person is out of status or not because this information doesn't tell me anything, but that their application for anything is not going to be decided, that I can tell you that's what's going to happen. Whether you filed H1B petition was filed for you, issue, change of status, I-539, according to the announcement that we received yesterday, they will not decide your case if you're from one of those 19 countries right now. Hi, Metnik. I'm on F1, married to a green card holder. Shall I wait 2 years for my spouse to become a US citizen before applying? If you maintain your lawful non-immigrant status, your priority date is almost current to file for adjustment of status. You don't have to wait. There is, I think it's November 22nd, 2025, if I'm not mistaken, is the current priority date for spouses of local permanent residents. It means that if everything remains the same, you'll be able to file for adjustment of status just a month after your I-130 is filed. So there is no sense in waiting. How about the people who got approved and the RFE received and got RFE? What is the next step and how long? If you got approved, your case is closed. There will be no request for more evidence. All right? So unless there is something else going on, I don't think it's possible to receive an RFE, request for more evidence, on a closed case. All right? Something has to be pending for the RFE to be sent. All right. Is it a good sign if the judge asked for more time? No, not necessarily. It means the judge is checking something. The judge may be checking something and the law may change while he is or she is checking. And then you'll get disqualified from asylum. So I wouldn't say it's a bad sign. I wouldn't say it's a good sign. It's just that you are still without the decision. That's what it means. And it's going to take some time. And you do not know how long. Okay? That's the bad part, I guess. You do not know how long you have to wait. All right. Let me know, guys, if you have more questions. We've been discussing. You are welcome, Blissful. We were discussing new changes, the ban for the nationals of 19 countries, the proposal to eliminate dual citizenship in the United States, Trump's promise or statement to denaturalize citizens who commit crimes in the United States. And of course, I have been answering you guys' questions. If you have more immigration questions, please let me know. I have to tell you that these days you have to watch for USCIS announcements closely so that you can understand what's happening with your case. You can expect great delays, even if you are not from one of those 19 countries. It's very important, okay? Why? Because they stated they will be taking general country conditions into consideration when you're filing for immigration benefits in the United States. Country conditions from the country you're from. I think asylum citizens can travel back to their home country, yes, if they use US citizen passport to do so. All right, very important. US citizen passport you have to use to travel back. I filed for asylum before, but my daughter filed for me and I got my 10-year green card. Can I visit your home country? I guess it depends on how much time passed from the time you filed for asylum until you got a green card holder. If country conditions in your home countries change so that you no longer need to be worrying about being harmed in your home country, then you have a plausible explanation as to why you're going to go back there, okay? Otherwise, you always face risk of being accused of filing false or frivolous asylum claim. Hi, I'm a US citizen going to marriage to Burma. Can I bring your spouse back? Not right now. I think at some point, of course, you will be able to, but right now there is a total, complete ban on any immigration benefits by nationals of certain countries, including Burma. Asylum approved in case status's response to USCIS request evidence was received. I do not know how. Oh, asylum was approved. And then you file for I-45. You filed I-45 for green card and you received an RFE. There is no time frame within which USCIS has to act after you responded to the RFE. There is no time frame within which USCIS has to respond to any of your inquiries. There is no time frame within which a judge has to rule on a motion. The time frames and deadlines apply only to you, but not to the government that adjudicates cases. So that's just the truth, unfortunately. Thank you very much, Zaza, for your roses. Let me see if you have any immigration question. Thank you for your compliments. Any restrictions if I have dual citizenship with a USA citizenship? Not right now. Right now, dual citizens are totally fine. It's just that what happened is that there is this one congressman, I think he's a senator, who himself received citizenship through naturalization. And he has this idea that a person who lives in the United States, to prove that they're truly loyal only to the United States, must um, relinquish citizenship of any other country that they acquired or held. You don't have to do that to be loyal to the United States. If you pay taxes here, following the laws, um, you're loyal to the United States. It depends, of course, also what you're saying and what your actions are. Criticizing political opponents, political parties, elected officials, that's allowed. That's not being loyal to the United States. So I don't know what these people are saying, what ideas they get, where from. I'm gonna tell you that countries that practice lack of dual citizenship usually are authoritarian or totalitarian countries. That's number one. Number two, if they're not, they found that this ban was not beneficial to them and they're changing their laws to allow dual citizenship, okay, like Germany. I don't know what's happening in the United States recently. I'm going to tell you that it's still possible to get your benefits, but you have to be very well prepared. You also have to be ready for extreme vetting, okay? If you're facing an interview, you have to prepare for that interview, discuss the background with your attorney, make sure that all the paperwork is correct, there are no mistakes. A mistake that was not done by you may cause a denial. Even if USCIS makes a mistake, sometimes people get green cards approved with the wrong alien number printed on them, wrong date of birth, wrong spelling of the name, on the wrong category. Guess who's going to be at fault when it comes to your citizenship? It's going to be you. If there is a mistake printed on the documents that you receive from USCIS, you have to ask them to correct the mistake. If it's you or your lawyer who made a mistake, it's going to cost you a fee, but possible to correct it. If it was USCIS who made a mistake, it's free. That's the general rule. So watch out for things like that. Sometimes mistakes are more complicated. You filed for a green card based on employment, but your priority date was not current. The officer did not notice it and approved your green card. Guess who's going to be at fault later? You, not them. Sometimes you entered on a K1 visa, did not marry the person who sponsored you, married someone else, filed for adjustment of status. Somehow it got approved. Guess who is going to be to blame later? Not USCIS officer who made a mistake. It's going to be you. Okay. Can you explain the rule against perpetuities? No, Remy. This is something relates to a property law. and not this is not a class on that. All right, that rule is relevant only when you take a bar exam. I'm a Ghanaian national, so I got my visa from Sierra Leone. I have 10-year green card. Can I travel to Ghana? I think yes. Why can't you? I don't think that there is any ban on that. You're a green card holder. You're a lawful green card holder, right? I do not know what happened there with Sierra Leone, but if there was no fraud involved, why not? You should be fine. Okay. All right. Let's see if you guys have more questions. Hi, Rahman. Hi, Nur Kamal. My spouse, she's from Burma, but she lives in another country. Yes. The ban goes by nationality, guys, unfortunately, not by the country of residence, by your nationality. Okay. So that's the same. Let's see if you guys from Facebook and YouTube have more questions. Yes, I answered the question about asylum, travelers, and so on. Hi, Kisang, thank you very much for the gift. Let's see if you have a question. Hi, how do I remove my wife name from I-589? Now she's left back to my home country. My case is pending. You cannot remove her name if you guys are still married, right? That's not up to you anymore. She's your dependent. But if she left, she will not be able to become automatically asylee. If you still would like to reconcile with her after she left, you will have to file Form I-730. If you guys divorce, all you need to do is to let USCIS know or court that you guys divorced, And you said that you're in court? Did you say you're in court? If you're in court, then, right. So if you're in court, she was in court as well, I guess, right? How did she leave? Did she ask for voluntary departure? Did she separate the cases? You need to let your lawyer know about that. If she left before the judge allowed her to do so, there will be a problem though, all right? Unless, of course, the government will agree to stop the proceedings against her without order of removal being issued. But if you leave without authorization, when removal proceedings are pending, basically, usually you are considered deported with a banned from coming back. Hi, Christina. Are they allowing bonds right now? My lawyer is trying to get Jane's. Of course they do, but qualification for the bond depends on certain factors. Number one, how did you enter the United States and when? Number two, are you subject to mandatory detention or no? And number three, whether or not you're going to receive a bond depends on certain factors. Truthfulness, ties with the community, risk of flight. Because there are decisions from the Board of Immigration Appeals where people were not so truthful, for example, about their address history, and on appeal, they were denied bond. All right. Let's see if you guys have more questions. Hi, Khalid. I have done my fingerprints like 2 months ago on my green card. Still no response. I'm from Afghanistan. Khalid, if you've been following the news, you need to know that no immigration decisions are going to be made for nationals of Afghanistan. So unfortunately, you will have to wait. As of now, nothing is going to be done on your case by USCIS. All right? That's what's happening, guys. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining tonight. I hope you're going to follow my social media so we can meet again. I also published a blog on my website, shoutsova.com, giving you a little bit more information about what's happening with a ban for nationals of 19 countries. And of course, in my previous videos, my live shows, I discussed the asylum changes that happened and the vetting restrictions, or like expansion of vetting that happened. So please watch those videos, follow the news. It's very important to understand why your case is not being decided. And I